I'm Tom Wall from Mitchell Wall Architecture and Design, and I'm standing here on Portland Place, one of the more stately neighborhoods in St. Louis, Missouri. This neighborhood was developed just shy of the turn of the 20th century for dignitaries to be staying in during the World's Fair in 1904. The house I'm standing in front of was designed and built in 1892 by Eames and Young for a client named William Thornburg and his wife. Why don't we go inside and take a look? The problem with buying a house that was built at the turn of the 20th century is it is not able to keep up with contemporary society and how people live. For example, the entire house was originally outfitted with gas lights, but then as electric lighting became more common, everything had to be retrofitted. The same is true of HVAC. Now the problem is that in order to make these modifications, people would change rooms around. They would make alterations to ceilings. They would do things to accommodate things like ductwork. Well, these were done piecemeal enough over the years that after a time, the house began to feel like it was chunked up in a bunch of different rooms and not really functioning well. So when we came in, we were tasked with trying to make the house feel like a cohesive whole again. Now fortunately, the front of the house, the area I'm standing in now, was pretty much untouched by previous occupants. As a result, it was able to maintain its original historic flavor. But as you will see, we're going to go back into the kitchen and take a look at the work we did there to make it more contemporary, to make it work better for the way that people live today. We'll then go upstairs and to the third floor as well, where we'll see all the work that we did to help make this house feel like a home. When designing this space, it didn't come without its challenges. We wanted to make sure that the kitchen and the sitting area functioned for a contemporary family. We liked the openness, we liked the light that it could provide, but we needed to remove a bunch of walls in order to accomplish that. And frankly, the existence of a hallway that runs the length of the house is somewhat of a waste of space. So in removing all of that, we were able to create a large, open concept kitchen living area within a much grander scale home. There's also all these tiny features that I love. The caterer's kitchen, for example. And if you've ever tried to remove an enormous steel safe from a house, you know it's very costly. When working with an existing home, be it historic or even more contemporary, you're oftentimes presented with the opportunity to re-engage what's already there. Sometimes you're forced to. In the example of the safe that I'm standing in front of, this would have been a very costly feature to remove from the home. It's made of 1/4-inch plate steel and it goes the full height of the ceiling, a whole 14 feet. It was built into the home in its original nature and it has concrete surrounding it. So what do you do with a space like that? Well, in this situation, we repurposed it. We turned it into the safest wine room in St. Louis. So we were able to actually repurpose the safe and turn it into a wine cellar. The small living area that we have attached to the kitchen was originally a breakfast nook. It was a small room, there wasn't much light into it. But when we opened the walls, we were able to develop a nicer flow, a better functioning space, and a room that the family used with regularity. Oftentimes when designing a high-end kitchen, you have to decide what you want to display and feature and what you want to tuck away and hide. When you're trying to retrofit a historic home with a kitchen that seems like it should fit, the last thing you want is a commercial refrigerator inside that kitchen. So in this situation, we decided to face the front of the Sub-Zero fridge with cabinetry, hiding it effectively within the design of the rest of the kitchen. So when we came to this house and we saw what is probably the largest ballroom on the street, we knew we had to use the space for something special. The client had told us that the way that they met was in a museum in England. And after they met there and decided to go have a cocktail, they went to a British pub. It was with that story in mind that we decided to take their existing ballroom and recreate it as a British pub so that they could continue to live out their memories of the first day they met. This room wasn't without its own existing challenges. Right now, I'm standing behind a bar. But if you look at the back bar, that is actually an existing chimney stack. We weren't going to be able to move it, so we figured we'd work around it. So we made a circular bar that has a 270-degree field of view that allows any number of people to come up and get their drinks during any number of parties.